Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Farahimi Osman and I would like to present about the public participation in planning theory. Human beings are at the center of concern for sustainable development, reached by the Principle 1 of Rio Declaration. The declaration, among other things, put emphasis on providing platform to allow general public to be included in decision-making process. This is by encouraging public awareness and making information widely available. Public participation refers to the practice of consulting and involving members of the public decision-making. The law provides for adhering to the widely accepted procedure, including people's participation, especially those who might be affected by the environmental development. Town and Country Planning Act 1976 as well introduced the concept of such a plan and local plan. The advantages for the public participation are: the first one is the fewer conflict and delays can improve the profitability for investors. Next is the government's improved decision making and secure a greater transparency and accountability. Public agency and NGOs gain credibility, maximize the benefit for the affected people. Vulnerable group given special attention, which is need of the poor receive priority. And lastly is the environmental management plan are more effective. Environmental impact assessment and public participation. Public participation and involvement in environmental planning is provided under the Environmental Quality Act 1974 and Town and Country Planning Act 1976. EIA is a process to systematically identify, predict, evaluate, mitigate impacts of development proposals by decision making by relevant authorities. There are two types of EIA, namely the preliminary and detailed EIAs. It appears that only detailed EIA involve public participation. In EIA stage, there have 6 stages. First one is the screening, which is both preliminary and detailed EIA involved to prescribe the activities in the EIA proposal. Next is the scoping, which is for the preliminary EIA. The terms of reference (TOR) is submitted to the DOE Development of Environmental Office. Same with the detailed EIA. Next is the EIS preparation, which is the preparation of preliminary EIS based on the scope stated in the letter issued by the state DOE, while the preparation of detailed EIS based on the scope in the final TOR submitted is for detailed EIA. Next is the EIS review. For the review, for the preliminary EIA, the EIS is distributed to the technical committee members only for the review, while the detailed EIA, for the review, that is distributed for the local participation. For decision making, the State of DOE Director approve or reject the requirement, while the detailed EIA, the Director General of DOE approve check with additional information by the local participation. Next is the follow-up, both for the preliminary and detailed EIA involve monitoring. Significance of public participation process. So the citizen have the right to voice opinions and want to be considered in the decision making. Meanwhile, professionals argue that involving citizens can contribute towards a better decision making and target resources more efficiently. The public participation process also has the potential to educate the citizen and increase their awareness. So, why the participation process is important? The citizen argument say about decision that will affect their life because they know more about the place that they live and what the best for the people. Next is the professional arguments. Community participation can help them target resources more effectively and efficiently. Involving people in planning and delivering service allow them to become more responsive to need and therefore increase uptake. Community participation method can help develop skills and build competency and capacities within their communities. Public participation process. Public participation has also been extended to the public display of EIS at designated location for comments and announcement. So it is displayed via the DOE's website and newspaper. So the spectrum of the public involvement, the first one is the stakeholder action, which is stakeholder has the power to take an action. Next is the agreements, which is reach workable agreement. Recommendation is to provide influential advice, comment, or any critiques. Next is the information exchange, which to provide the data, opinion, and options. Lastly is the outreach, where they provide the information. Next is the successful public participation process. So, based on the 5 criteria of successful participation process developed by Gantek, there is 4 main criteria have been identified as important for the context participation process in Malaysia. So the first one is the efficient administration, which include well-organized administration and cost-effective. Next is the effective approach, which is the appropriate participation technique involving all group of stakeholders. The third one is the fair decision making, which is transparent decision. And participation is have representative. And lastly is the sufficient information, which is provide the best available information and sharing the information. Next is the case study. The case study I chose is the proposed Pengerang Energy Complex (PEC), which is located at the Pengerang Industrial Park (PIP) along the southern PIP boundary, which interface with Rapid boundary near Gate 2. Bandar Penawar and Kampung Sungai Rengit are the main towns closest to the PEC project site. This case study is involving the 6 stages that is involved in the EIA process. The first one is the screening. The screening is to ascertain any report required for proposed project, and this category is involve SIA proposal that has been prepared by the Plan Malaysia. Next is the scoping, which is the pre-project stage to obtain preliminary appraisal of the demographic, social, and cultural context to identify the potential issues that could arise from the project. So the identified party that may have been directed impact on the health, safety, and quality of life of the local surrounding. Next is the sample size, which is selected local residents that has potentially exposed to impact due to the project construction. For the review, there's a focus group engagement that help with the impact community. So the engagement session as disclosure to the villagers as the build consensus over certain issues. Next is there's a one-to-one meeting with the institutional and other stakeholders. The meeting is to share and verify information as well voice their views and comments. For the decision making, there's identification of issues and concern raised and evaluation of issues were undertaken. So it is to decide whether the project likely to cause significant adverse impact resulting in the construction. And for the follow-up, the feedback raised by the local community, and there is a mitigation measure is taken for the project. So as for the conclusion, without quality participation, the journey for sustainable development planning in Malaysia could be lead to rough roads. So there's several factors that have been identified as barrier toward effective quality participation. Among the factors are the failure to attract more public to participate and gain quality feedback. There's a public lack of knowledge and awareness on the importance of participation, and there's also lack of authorities' effort to communicate. For public participation to be successful, it is essential to maintain stakeholder involvement over time. Moreover, participation and involvement of the public is important and relevant as they are the stakeholders in development process. Effective public involvement require thoughtful developed programs of participation and should be broad and sustainable as well. Overall, major progress is still needed at the level of practical implementation of Malaysia public involvement at national and local levels. That's all from me. Thank you.